Hello, Education 1030 students. I hope everyone's having a great week. So, we are getting into Module 3. Now, just to recap for Module 2, we were all about making an academic plan and starting that process. And as I mentioned, when you're talking with your advisor, which will happen later, some of us are meeting with them this week or you met last week. Whenever you're meeting with them, you will look at that part 3 and really look at your academic plan and have that with you when you sit down and meet. So, since it is a working draft, it could change and you'll probably have revisions over time, and that's okay. But now that we talked about making an academic plan, that was the first step in our exploring the field and in our career readiness. And we will continue this process throughout the semester. So, we'll be coming back to it. But now we're going to talk about another important thing in this course or that you should be doing as a college student, and that's called managing your time and priorities, which is what we'll be working on this week in Module 3. So you'll see our course outcomes obviously are related to our module objectives, right? So we're learning how to navigate e-learn and other success college technologies, but we're also learning how to manage time and goals. That's a big course outcome for us. So to be able to meet those goals, we're going to be looking at these specific module objectives, right? We're going to describe ways to evaluate your own time management skills, discuss the importance and the process of prioritization, articulate the importance of goal setting and motivation, detail strategies and specific tactics for managing your time, articulate the ways in which time management differs from high school to college, and then outline reasons and effects of procrastination and provide strategies to overcome it. Okay, so really, this module 3 is really about prioritizing and time management, which are special skills and essential for life and in college. So, we're going to really look and focus on procrastination, but also looking at what you're doing and maximizing your time. So for your assessments this week, you will have your Module 3 quiz, and then you will have a homework assignment that you will be submitting. And it's not going to be in Dropbox, it's actually going to be a discussion board this week. Um, and it's going to be two parts. You will complete what we call a self evaluation of like your time management and habits, and then you will have a reflection component that goes with it. And that will go in the discussion board. You do have that optional reading organizer that is there for you to complete as well. So we will be working in chapter 3 in your textbook, your OER College Success textbook. Okay. And as always, the textbook is embedded here for you. Anytime I say it's embedded, you will see a link that says textbook and it'll tell you the different sections that we will be focusing on in our module. I also provided you with chapter slides or a PowerPoint presentation that goes along with Module 3. Okay, so you can look here when you click on the textbook and you're looking in the first page, it's going to tell you the 7 sections that this chapter outlines. So we're looking at the benefits of time management, time managing management in college and what does that look like, procrastination, how to manage your time, self management of what you do when you do it. And again, that's going to be tied with our discussion board assignment. Goal setting and motivation, which we kindly discussed a little bit on Module 2. And then lastly, some strategies on how we can manage our time and stay on task. So those are going to be the overviews of your chapter 3. So as always, the chapter modules are laid out exactly the same. So you'll have your key terms and concepts, which is your definitions you should be learning, concepts that you should know and be able to define. You have your reading organizer, your module 3 slides for your presentation. You have your textbook link, and then you have your actual assignment. So you have your module 3 quiz, which will close on September 18th, and then you have your discussion board assignment. So I wanted to take a minute and get into your homework assignment before we talk about a few things in chapter 3. So on this assignment, I said there was two pieces that you would be completing when we're doing this assignment. The first thing is you're going to complete what we call an evaluation. So we're going to evaluate our time management habits. and then we're going to reflect. So the first part you're going to see here is you're going to look at this time management assessment. You're going to read each of the following statements listed in the first column, and you're going to rate yourself of how well you agree with them. Okay, so the ratings start at always, then it goes to usually, sometimes, rarely, and never. So after you complete the rating, you're going to reflect on your time management style and how well you are doing, and maybe things that can help you succeed in college. So the reflection component is going to be answering these 4 questions based on your results. Okay. So again, once you're finished looking at these statements and you check off, you need to look at the answers. Which section do you see, that you could improve on, right? How would you evaluate your time management habits? Um, what did you learn from taking this assessment? What are some things you can do differently to improve your time management? And how would these results, what results would you like to see from changes made to your time management habits? And remember, the textbook is going to give us some strategies to help us with time management. So, the things I want to focus on when we're talking specifically about chapter 3, I have marked some things I want you to pay attention to that's going to help us meet our objectives. So the first one is going to be underneath section 3.4, how to manage your time. There's a specific example here under figure 3.7 where it gives you kind of like an online calendar. Now, I told you at the very first week of classes that we were going to be utilizing a planner or a calendar in this course. So that can not only help you keep up with your assignments, but it's also really well as a time management skill. So what I want you to do is I want you to consider how you can use the calendar or your planner to stay on task and improve your time management, right? So you can look at the example in the book that it gives you. Okay. In that same section, you also are going to look at table 3.3. There's an activity in here that I'd like you to complete. It's called an exercise. What it's going to do is kind of help you recognize some things about your own management style, and it will connect you to the activity that you're going to do for your discussion board this week. And in table 3.3, I want you to realize there are no right or wrong answers. So what you're going to do is read each statement, and then again, okay, you're going to see it's very similar to your homework assignment. Think about if there's anything different. Do you see any changes? Okay, so that's the assignment that you're going to complete. Now, the next section in your book I want to focus on is going to be table 3.5. And what this table is just an example of some common college activities and how much time on task you should spend on it. Okay, so time on task could be reading journals, reading your textbook, looking at interpreting value data, math charts, taking sample quizzes or Quizlets or Kahoot games, um, practicing math problem sets, whether they're complex or not, writing short or no research papers, studying for quizzes. So, or studying for exams. So, this is going to give you an example of how much time you should be spending on these activities. And this could be a real eye opener for some of us because we don't realize how we're spending our time. You may be spending more than that, or maybe not enough. But that's just giving you what a common time management spending on each task would be for college. Now, you have to make school your priority. So managing your time should be a priority. Managing your priorities should also go along with time management skills. If you look at figure 3.9, you're going to see how we can break down and organize our priorities, meaning you can focus on what's the most important task you need to get done. So keeping a calendar or a planner is going to help you go down the list to see what things you have due that week or this for this module and really break them up into 4 sections, okay? And the 4 sections are urgent and not urgent, important and not important. So what you're going to do is look at the column or the table that you see here. So there's two columns. There's urgent and not urgent. And within those two columns, you're going to see important and not important. Because sometimes I feel like we don't prioritize our tasks correctly, and that could be detrimental to you in staying on task and getting them done. Okay, so figure 3.9 in your book, this activity is really going to help you kind of see if you really are prioritizing your tasks appropriately to set you up for success. Now, going a step further, I want you to look at figure 3.10. And what this is showing you in your book is how you can break down the tasks that you have even further. So, for example, whenever you are preparing for class and making sure you are studying and you're engaging in the material, there's things that you have to do. Now, if you remember when we were talking back in the first module and the second module in your reading, it talked about how you can prepare ahead of time for class. So you have things to do before class, things you'll be doing in class, and things you'll be doing after class. Okay. So, for example, something that you would do during class is maybe taking notes during lecture, asking questions for clarification. After class, maybe you were going back and rewriting your notes, or maybe you were doing the assigned work problems. Before class, you would be doing the appropriate reading material for that week. Okay, so I want you to look at some tasks that you have coming up this week, and I kind of want you to make out a table like this to see if you are doing appropriate things for pre-class prep, during class, and after class, and what it looks like as far as managing those courses. The last thing I wanted you to look at was table 3.9. And this is really just helping you look at how to put a calendar together to keep you on task. Sometimes when we have a lot of things going on and we're imagining many different tasks or many different due dates or assignments, it helps to break them down into more manageable pieces, right? That way we don't become overwhelmed. So if you look at table 3.9, it's going to break down them into steps, the task, and then spread them over shorter weeks. So table 3.8 and 3.9, I want you to really pay attention to how they broke the tasks down, because I feel like if you see this visually, it will give you better idea to maybe say, hey, maybe I can try that. Okay, so table 3.8 and 3.9 is going to show you different ways to break the task down. I say do the one that makes the most sense for your brain. Okay. 3.9 is going to show you a weekly version, whereas table 3.8, it does show the weekly version, but we're setting it up differently, okay? Which, depending on how your brain works, you may prefer that way. So please make sure that you reach out if you have any questions. Always look at your slides to kind of help you. They're going along with the chapter. And always remember that you have the unlimited access to the quiz, meaning you can take multiple times and get the highest attempt grade when it closes. So always take advantage of that. And I also suggest doing the reading organizer because it's a wonderful study tool for you. All right, I hope everyone has a great week, and until next time, take care.